One of the best things that happens when you invest in the stock is that some of the stocks are actually paying you dividends. This essentially allows you to receive dividend payments from many different stocks by you simply investing the money into this particular stocks. Now, when it comes to the world of dividend investing, one of the questions that comes up is what is the difference between dividend per share versus dividend yield? Now, let me tell you something really important right now. The difference between these two different metrics doesn't matter. No, I'm just kidding, guys. The difference between these two numbers is very important to know because that way you can really understand the two metrics, and this will allow you to make better dividend stock investments. So in this video, I'm gonna go ahead and explain to you the difference between these two metrics, and also if you stay until the end of the video, I'm gonna share with you how it is that you can get both of these two metrics automatically calculated for you for any particular stock or ETF that you like on your Excel and Google Sheet spreadsheet. Okay, so let's talk about the difference between the dividend per share and the dividend yield metrics. So as you can see on the spreadsheet, we have the two different formulas that are used to calculate both of these metrics. Starting with the dividend yield, we have that the way that this metric is calculated is basically by taking the dividend per share and then dividing that by the stock share price. So both of these metrics, as you will see, are very easy to calculate, and I'm gonna walk you step by step through their calculations from the financial statements so that way you really understand both of them. Now, the other calculation is the dividends per share, and as you can see, it's very important to know this calculation because this is the number that you need to be able to calculate the dividend yield. Now, for the dividends per share, the way that you calculate that is by taking the annualized dividend amount, and this is something that will be found usually in the cash flow statement, and then you divide this by the number of shares outstanding, or in this case the weighted average shares outstanding. So let's go ahead and calculate both of these metrics so that you're really able to understand the difference between the two of them. In order to do that, I recommend that you use a tool like Y-Sheets where you can get companies' financials on your spreadsheet right away, so that way you don't have to constantly go back and forth between your spreadsheet and different websites. And we're gonna start with the dividends per share. In order to calculate this metric, we have to go to the cash flow statement, and right here we can see the cash flow statement, and the number that we're looking for is the dividends paid, which you can see right here. So this is on a historical basis, so we can see all these different years and how much was paid in dividends. And now with this number, we can then divide it by the number of shares outstanding, which this is found on the income statement. So you can see that right here, weighted average shares outstanding, and again this is also available on a historical basis, so that way you can see how the number has fluctuated over time. In this case, we're gonna calculate the dividend per share for the year 2022. So the way to do that is really simple. If we wanna calculate the dividends per share, we can just simply do the dividends paid. We're gonna do minus here because this is right now this is the cash flow statement, so this is a negative because it's a cash outflow of the company, so we'll just keep it as a negative so that way it becomes a positive number. And then we divide this by the number of shares outstanding. Weighted average shares outstanding is right here, and now we do this, and just like that we are going to get the dividends per share of this particular company. Now that we have this number, we can easily calculate the dividend yield. So as you can see, we have the dividends per share already, so all we need to do is take that number and divide it by the current share price of the company. So in order to do that, we can do share price right here, and I'm going to be using the wise price function from Y-Sheets. We have many tutorials on how this works, but you can just enter this command and this will provide you with the stock price for Apple at this particular moment in time. And so now for the yield, it's very easy to calculate this number. We take the dividends per share, we take the current share price, and this is going to give us the dividend yield. We're just gonna turn this into a percentage, and then we can add some more decimals so that that way you can see the number more clearly. Now that we have the two numbers, I want to explain to you the difference between them and also what these different numbers mean. So first, the dividend per share. This basically means that right now at this moment, based on the 2022 dividend payments that Apple made to shareholders, for every share price, so for every $189.805 that you spend buying Apple stock, you're going to get back 0.9152 in terms of dividend payback. So this is what you're gonna get, and that's basically what the dividend per share means. Now the difference between that and the yield is that the yield basically tells you what percentage per dollar are you getting in terms of your dividends. Let's say that you're going to invest $100 into Apple stock, just to keep the number simple. What you would do to be able to determine how much money hypothetically you would get back in terms of dividends is just take the money that you're going to invest times the dividend yield, and this is going to give you how much money you would get in payback in the form of a dividend. Now what I want to share with you is something really powerful, and that is, let's say that you're investigating different dividend stocks that you want to invest in. So what you can do is build a stock list like this, and now we can compare the dividend per share, the dividend yield, as well as countless other different metrics that you can check out through Y-Sheets. So in this case, the way that you do this is super simple. You're going to use the WISE function to get the dividend per share of the company. So in this case, we're going to enter dividend. That is the parameter to use. And then we're going to enter 2022. So after this, the function will return the dividend per share for this particular company in 2022, exactly the way that we calculated it, by the way. And then after that, you can simply click on the button. So that way the function computes the value for all these different stocks right here. And now let's compare this with the dividend yield of all these different companies. We simply enter the symbol. Now we can enter dividend yield, or we could also reference the cell, lock it in. So that way, when you drag the function, it works across all the different stocks right here. For the period, we're going to use TTM. So this gives us the value based on the real-time price of the stock at this particular moment. So we click enter. Now here this is formatted as a percentage, and we can simply double click here, and now we can compare the dividend per share and the dividend yield of all these different companies right here. Now you know the difference between dividend per share and dividend yield, so be sure to use this information so that you can make good dividend investments for yourself and for those people that you most care about. If you've enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notifications on, so that way you get notified every time we release a new video like this that's gonna allow you to take your investing game to the next level. I'll see you in the next one.